Good afternoon. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Community Development Committee and Regulatory Services Committee for today, April 19th. We've been joined by Council Members Cano and Quincy, and we are awaiting quorum. As soon as we've been joined by Council Member Reich, which is a quorum of the committee. I will note that we have a very long public hearing agenda, so I'd like to start with the consent agenda, which are items number 14 through 21. They include the loan modification at the Cecil Newman Apartments, title clearance for the Upper Harbor Terminal, the final resolution of a bond issuance at Plymouth Stevens House, debt modification for the Housing Opportunity Partnership Preservation Project, the Great Streets grant applications, the priorities report for our HOPWA funding, and a contract with SMG for traffic control services, in addition to the regular licensing and consumer services agenda for today. Are there any items anyone would like to pull off the agenda, items 14 through 21? Seeing none, I'll move the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. We'll then start our 13 public hearings, starting with item number 1, which is a land sale. Ms. Kimball, welcome.
Chair Goodman, members of the committee, I'm going to give a brief introduction that's going to apply for items 1 through 7. When staff receive proposals through the Vacant Housing Recycling Program, they are evaluated against criteria stated in the Vacant Housing Recycling Program Manual, which was subject to neighborhood review and comment and approved by the Minneapolis City Council in December 2015. When multiple offers are received for a property, staff evaluate the purchaser's or general contractor's experience, the plan for occupancy, the extent and cost reasonableness of rehabilitation or new construction, financial capacity, and subsidy need, if any, from City of Minneapolis programs. Neighborhood organizations are notified of all of the offers received and provided with an opportunity to provide comment for a 45-day period that ends shortly before the public hearing. In some cases, the purchaser that's supported by the neighborhood in the items that I'm going to present today is different than the purchaser that's recommended by staff. And when that's the case, I'm going to present what the neighborhood comments were and why they supported a different application, and then what the staff comments were and why, when we reviewed the criteria, we supported a different application.
Okay. Was that for our benefit or for the benefit of the viewing public in droves, or what was that?
It's for the benefit of the committee and then also for the public.
Okay.
So 701 Newton Avenue North, the staff recommendation is sale to Auspicious Living LLP, who met the requirements of the Vacant Housing Recycling Program. We received comments from the Near North neighborhood, and they are supportive of the staff recommendation. I'll take any questions on this property at this time.
Okay, so you're not going to go through any of the details. This is a new process we're going to go through right now. I think it's a public hearing on a land sale. I think it needs some explanation.
Okay.
Beyond the neighborhood likes it or doesn't, and the staff likes it or doesn't.
Well, absolutely. So in the case of 701 Newton Avenue North, there was only one offer that was received. When staff looked at each of the criteria that I just outlined for the Vacant Housing Recycling Program, the single applicant met all of the criteria. If there are further questions, I can respond.
Are there further questions from staff on item number 1? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 1, which is a land sale at 701 Newton Avenue North to Auspicious Living LLP. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of item number 1 with the staff recommendation.
Item number 1 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 2.
Item number 2 is 916 Newton Avenue North. The staff recommendation is sale to DBH Homes LLC, who met the requirements of the Vacant Housing Recycling Program. We received comments from the Near North neighborhood, and they support the application of the one other offer that we received, which was from Elizabeth Sibbett. Her intention was to owner-occupy the property. Elizabeth Sibbett submitted a total of 4 applications for properties that had open houses in North in March. Her application for 916 Newton Avenue North was the only application for owner occupancy. All 4 of Ms. Sibbett's applications were disqualified by staff because her scope of work was insufficient to meet the rehabilitation standards of the vacant housing recycling program. We notified Ms. Sibbett of the reason for her disqualification and encouraged her application for future properties through the program. I'll take any questions at this time.
Seeing no questions, we'll open the public hearing on item number 2, which is a land sale at 916 Newton Avenue North to DBH Homes, LLC. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of item number 2.
Item number 2 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. On item number 3.
1419 Upton Avenue North, staff recommendation is sale to Pamela D. Taylor Berry, who met the requirements of the vacant housing recycling program, and sale to Jenny Investments LLC as an alternate purchaser if Ms. Taylor Berry does not close on the property. We received comments from the Willard Hay neighborhood, and they support the staff recommendation of sale to Ms. Taylor Berry. I'll take any questions at this time.
Are there any questions on item number 3 for staff? Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the alternate purchaser, this is the one that has an alternate purchaser. The previous 2 did not. Is it for the same price?
Yes, it is.
So there's no difference between those 2?
Correct.
Why was Pamela Taylor Berry selected over any investments?
Pamela Taylor Berry was selected because of her intent to own or occupy the property. In the case of Jenny Investments LLC, the intention is to rehab the property and then sell it for owner occupancy. And the vacant housing recycling program has a criteria where we try to prefer purchasers that intend to own or occupy the property as their primary residence.
Thank you.
So perhaps in the reports, you could give us more information.
Okay.
I'm struggling with the lack of when we purchased it, how long we've owned it, what the detail that would have been provided otherwise in every other report we've seen for the past 10 years.
Okay.
So I need to have, in the interest of transparency, I think the public needs to know, is it a house? It is a vacant lot? How long have we owned it? I would give the financial information if it were me, but I understand you don't want to do that. I think this question could have been answered simply by, you could have put that in your report. We received 2 offers. One person said they'd occupy it, etc. So
Okay.
then there won't be any
in my
questions.
verbal report, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a land sale. It's a big deal.
Yep.
Okay. Other questions on item number 3? Seeing none, thank you for that report. We'll open up the public hearing on item number 3, which is a land sale at 1419 Upton Avenue North. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of item number 3 on the staff recommendation.
Further questions and comments on item number 3? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. On to item number 4.
Staff recommendation is sale to Ryan McMonigal. Ryan is actually present in the audience today. Ryan met the requirements of the vacant housing recycling program, and our further recommendation is sale to Asha McGlory as an alternate purchaser if Mr. McMonigal fails to close on the property. We received comments from the Willard Hay neighborhood who would prefer sale to Asha McGlory because she is from the city of Minneapolis. However, that's not criteria that's present in the vacant housing recycling program manual, and so that wasn't part of what the staff could consider when we were making our recommendation. Both applicants intend to own or occupy and had similar estimates for rehabilitation. Mr. McMonigal's application was stronger than Ms. McGlory's, and the criteria for financial capacity, experience, and extent of rehabilitation, which is why he is recommended by staff. I'll take any questions at this time.
Are there any questions for staff on item number 4? Seeing none, thank you for your report. I understand Mr. McMonigal is here. Maybe he would like to speak. I'll open the public hearing on item number 4, which is a land sale at 1426 Penn Avenue North. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Is Mr. McMonigal here? Why don't you come up and tell us, how long are you going to live here for? What's your plan? Where do you live now?
Yeah, currently I live in Eden Prairie. I've lived in St. Paul for the last 4 years, and then just moved back home in with the parents and looking to get closer to Minneapolis because I work downtown and really want to be a part of the community. Noticed prices were just pretty high, even just for rent or purchase. I really want something that I can purchase and really pour into the community with that. And so when I came across the vacant housing recycling program, I just thought it would be a great opportunity too. And so it's really a great location, and I'm excited to, invest in the property, fix it up, and live there for the foreseeable future.
Great, thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Ms. Kimball, what is the requirement with regard to ownership? Is there a length of time?
No, there is not a length of time that's required.
So he could live there for 2 months?
Technically, yes.
Okay. Councilmember Frye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What is some of the criteria that you look at in determining financial capacity?
We look at the overall cost of not only acquisition of the property, but also the cost of construction and estimates for soft costs. Our construction managers review construction costs against their initial inspection of the property to determine whether both the estimates for construction and also what's included in the scope is reasonable to meet the vacant housing recycling program's minimum property rehabilitation standards. And then we look at the documentation of financing that's provided by applicants. It can be anything from cash statements, bank statements that show the amount of cash that they have that's dated within 30 days. It can include credit statements of financing, and it can also include pre-approval letters from banks.
And so what were the differences between Mr. McConigal's application and Ms. McLaury's?
Yep. In the case of Mr. McMonigal, he submitted a pre-approval letter showing that he had $210,000 of financing, which is enough to pay for his total development cost of $201,370. Ms. McGlory's application included a pre-approval letter for $180,000, which was less than her total development cost of $250,000. She also submitted a pre-approval letter for $70,000 from the City of Lakes Community Land Trust. However, we couldn't consider that additional letter because City of Lakes Community Land Trust has indicated that their financing can't work in partnership with an FHA 203K loan or within our program. We are committed in the event that Ryan McMonigal does not close on the property, then we are committed to working with Ms. McGlory in order to try to mitigate the concerns with her financing.
So I don't doubt that Mr. McMonigal is in an excellent position to close on the property and undergo the rehabilitation. But given that Ms. McGlory has $185,000, I mean, that's not chump change. I mean, that's quite a bit of money that she could probably put towards the initial purchase and then get additional monies to undergo the improvements necessary.
Yep, that's definitely true. And in the case of this property, if we wouldn't have had two competing proposals, then it's likely that we would have recommended Asha McGlory. However, in this case, we had two proposals that we received for this property, and Mr. McMonigal had a much clearer application, and it was much clearer how he was going to pay for his total proposed development costs.
Is one of the items that you look at in determining who to sell to, building wealth in communities of color?
That is not a criteria as of right now.
Okay.
Okay. My concern is more what's the guarantee that this nice young man's going to live there for any extended period of time? We don't know him.
Right. In the case of.
Sorry, we don't know you.
Right.
Do you want to make some guarantee to staff you'll live there for 5 years?
What kind of guarantee?
I don't know, offline, not in this committee meeting? Maybe you can work that out. My concern is that we sell the house to this young man who works downtown, and it's great, and we should do it. But we should have some sort of guarantee if we choose him over someone who already lives in the city, that he's going to live in the city. We like that. We want people to move home from college and not live with their parents and move to the north side and work downtown. It's all good if that's what happens. So can you work that out with him?
We have discussed that historically. The reason that there isn't a provision within our program manual for providing that type of guarantee is that our advisement from our legal counsel is that the primary way that we could provide a guarantee like that is if we provide financing. We are selling all of these properties for their appraised value with no financing from the city. And so our options for providing a guarantee for occupancy are limited.
Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to move forward with that recommendation. Hopefully, we can work something out with Mr. McMonagle, but in the next week and a half before the full council meeting.
Okay. I think we closed the public hearing, but now I can't even remember. So we're good on that. Okay, great. On Councilmember Fry's motion to move without recommendation so that the applicant and staff can work together to feel more comfortable that he's going to live there for a period of time, which is the purpose of moving it forward without recommendation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 5, which is a land sale at 1715 Oliver Avenue North.
All right. Staff recommendation is sale to DBH Homes LLC. Darren Hebert from DBH Homes is here. I apologize for not mentioning that for the 916 Newton Avenue North public hearing. Darren met the requirements of the vacant housing recycling program. We received comments from the Willard Hay neighborhood, and they support the staff recommendation of sale to DBH Homes Inc. LLC. Pardon me.
Okay. So this is a perfect example of where we could get an explanation of what they're going to do with the house, how they're going to, I mean, in the past, we would hear we bought it in this year, we're selling it now, we've held it for this period of time, here's what they're going to do here. But I don't have any information other than what's in this report, which involves yet another sale in the Fifth Ward that we're very conscious of.
Mm-hmm.
So is this is a, what else can you tell me?
Absolutely. Mr. Darren's intention is to rehabilitate this property and sell it for owner occupancy. The property was originally purchased
On October 23rd. I can read. I just think it's important to have in the reports out loud what the details are.
Okay.
Are there other questions for staff with regard to the land sale at 1715 Oliver Avenue North? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 5, which is a land sale at 1715 Oliver Avenue North. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of this land sale as the staff recommendation.
Further comments or questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. On to item number 6.
Staff recommendation is sale to New Image Construction and Remodeling LLC, who met the requirements of the vacant housing recycling program. His intention is to rehabilitate the property and sell it for owner occupancy. We received comments from the Willard Hay neighborhood, and they support the staff recommendation of sale to New Image Construction and Remodeling LLC. This was the only offer that we received for this property. I'll take any questions at this time.
I didn't hear a word you said, so I'll assume everybody else did. Are there any questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 6. Is that correct? Yes. At 2800 18th Avenue North. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy, since you were paying attention.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy to move item number 6 as the staff recommendation.
Further comments or questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. On to item number 7.
3014 Logan Avenue North, staff recommendation is sale to Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity, Inc., who met the requirements of the vacant housing recycling program, and sale to Homes Minnesota LLC as the alternate purchaser if Twin Cities Habitat for Humanity, Inc. fails to close on the property. We did not receive comments from the Jordan neighborhood. The key reason why these 2 applications are recommended over the other 4 applications that we received is because their extent of their scope of work was much more significant than the other 4 applications we received. And they also had much stronger financing.
Okay. Questions for staff on item number 7? Seeing none, thank you for that report. We'll open up the public hearing on item number 7, which is a land sale at 3014 Logan Avenue North. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of item number 7.
Item number 7 has been moved. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to our regulatory services public hearing, starting with item number 8. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an application by Saito One LLC. They are a restaurant doing business as Sagaro at 5309 Lindell Avenue South. They have operated at this location with a wine and beer license since June of 2014. They would like to upgrade their license to a full on-sale liquor license. No other aspects of the business plan will be changed. They just want to upgrade to be able to provide a full variety of beverage alcohol items for their customers. A public hearing is required for this license upgrade. We sent notices to residents and property owners within 600 feet of this establishment, and we also notified the Tangletown Neighborhood Association, Diamond Lake Business Association, Nicollet East Harriet Neighborhood Association, and Councilmember Quincy. We have received no responses for or against this application. Staff believes they meet all of the requirements and recommending that you approve the application.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 8? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 8, which is a license upgrade for Sagaro. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of this item.
Item number 8 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone else?
Yeah, aye.
I said aye, but I meant for other things.
We're all in.
I'm getting everyone sick. Any opposed? That item is approved. On to item number 9. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an application by the Country Bar, Inc., doing business as the Country Bar. They're located at 3006 Lindale Avenue South, and they are seeking a permanent expansion of premises for a new sidewalk cafe and a rear patio expansion. They are also upgrading their license from a Class E on-sale liquor license to a Class B. That Class B upgrade allows for live musical entertainment. This expansion will allow an outdoor patio at the rear with seating for 10 customers and a sidewalk cafe on the front of the business by Lindale Avenue for an additional 8 seats. The public hearing is required for this application. We did notify all residents and property owners within 600 feet of the business. Notices were all sent to the Carrick Neighborhood Association, Lindale Lake Business Group, the Lake Street Council, and the Lowry Hill East Neighborhood Group. We received 5 responses from that mailing and notification process. 1 was in support. We received 4 responses that were in opposition to this application. The oppositions related to the patio. The rear patio was too close to nearby apartments that are occupied as residential dwellings. Others were fear of noise and music would keep them up at night, additional traffic, issues about behaviors of patrons, and patrons smoking on the rear patio. This business is located in a C3A neighborhood activity district. The use meets the requirements in that regard. In staff's review of this, we would be recommending approval of the application.
Okay, Mr. Wilson, so there were some fairly passionate objections to this with regard to residential apartments directly above where this alley patio would be suggested, in addition to all of the other activity, which I'm fully aware of being a Volstead's customer going on in that alley also. So our response is, well, too bad, you're at an intersection of Lynn Hill and Lake, so that's the way it is. Ms. Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In response to that, we had discussions between Councilmember Bender's office and our applicant, and he changed his business plans to promise some activity to monitor the patio better than he did in his original plan, including only one speaker back there, and it will be faced downward so the sound is not projecting out. He will also have signs to warn his patrons about the neighbors being so close that they should keep their voices down. He also promised that his staff would come out at least every half hour or more to check on the noise level out there. And he is also shutting off that speaker at 10 p.m. each night. And that was all negotiated into the business plan in hopes that that would keep the sound down. The landlord of the building, with most of the complaints that came through, was also involved in this conversation, and he was satisfied with the results of it.
So, Mr. Wilson, may I just ask Ms. Casey another question? Ms. Casey, is the landlord the owner of the restaurant space and the apartments?
Yes.
Okay, so it's his freaking problem. If it's loud, then the residences are not, people aren't going to stay there. So he has a kind of a motivation to put a bar and restaurant in his first floor, but not as much motivation to be concerned about the residents who live above it.
Right.
It's all the same person.
Yep.
Oh, that is inaccurate.
That's what I was told.
What do we understand the situation to be in terms of the application? Is the owner of the restaurant space the same as the owner of the apartments above?
I believe so. That's what my understanding was.
We're going to have a public hearing, so you can speak.
So-
We would encourage it. I don't know. I lived above a bar for 20 years.
Mhm.
I chose to do that. I knew it was a bar. This is a different situation, so I'm just wondering what the residents, how they would tolerate this in the back. So,
I do know that we have discussions going on with Volstead's right now too about the noise back there from their queue lines in hopes of trying to quiet some of that down also.
the queue lines, the smoking, the
Correct.
people who have drank too much, the mess, the dumpsters, and it's quite a show back there. Okay. Are there other questions for staff with regard to item number 9? Thank you very much. This is a public hearing on item number 9, which is a license upgrade and an expansion of premise. This is a public hearing, and the public hearing is open. Is there anyone here who would like to speak? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. And anyone else who hasn't signed in who's here on this item is free to do so as well.
My name is Brian Jones. I own Latham Properties. I own the building directly to the south of the Country Bar. The reason why I said that the statement that Ms. Casey made was inaccurate was that I own the building. Mr. Smith owns the building directly to the north of us. We're basically two separate people. As far as I know, there are no full-time residents above the Country Bar. I have 8 full-time apartment units above the building that I own. With regards to this expansion, I've spoken with several of my residents. I know that people are moving due to noise from the alleyway there behind our building. I also recognize that it's a busy area. I recognize that there's a lot of bars and restaurants in the area, and that's part of the appeal of the Lynn Lake neighborhood. My one request and reason for coming to this meeting is with regards to amplified music. I understand that there's lines at Volstead's all the time. I understand you can't control people when they've had too much to drink or they get in a group together. The alleyway is very small. It echoes quite a bit. I have no problem with the patio that Mr. Smith has proposed. What I do have a problem with is music being played back there just to increase the volume. You get music going, people talk louder to be heard above the music. It's a chicken and the egg. It's louder and louder and louder. I'm prepared as a landlord to, deal with residents being unhappy. I'm very forthcoming with them. I let them know, hey, look, this is where you're choosing to live. It's going to be loud. It's not quiet. It's not private. There's a bar here. There's a bar there. However, I think that adding more noise to a back alley is not the way to go. A smoking patio is fine. I think, 10 people back there is fine. But then you add music to it, and that's the one objection I have to this proposal.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue, item number 9? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Anyone?
Good afternoon, Councilman and Committee Chair and staff. I'm Todd Smith, and I'm the owner of 3006 Lindale. I purchased the property. It was in great disrepair about a year and a half ago, and have worked for 9 months in developing it. I think there were some challenges with the property historically that I believe will be alleviated by my ownership and $800,000 investment. The area is zoned C3A. I can point to multiple places within 200 yards that have outdoor music and greater residential exposure than mine. The speaker is for ambient noise. I'm not ever going to have live music. The reason I did the upgrade to my license was to do DJs for brunch. I think within the tenants of Brian's building, Brian seems like a great guy, there's been some misunderstandings. My building is 2 stories. The second story is a residential unit, and there is a deck for that residential unit that's at approximately 20 feet in height. Brian's second story neighbor is probably at 25 feet of height. The only spot that would have patrons on it is at the ground level. So I think there was some misunderstanding as far as what I was building and what the utility for it was. The noise levels, as Councilperson Goodman already suggested, in large part stem from Volstead's. I would also say that there's a commercial tenant in 3008 Lindale that is open till 3 a.m. It's a sandwich shop that gets a lot of late night traffic and also has a lot of noise and also contributed to the garbage challenges. So from my standpoint, the noise ordinance should be sufficient that if I'm doing something wrong, I can be recognized as doing something wrong and cited and have to make an amendment to how I operate. But between the C3A designation, the standard that it's being applied in the whole neighborhood, why I should be unable to operate similarly seems unfair. The noise ordinance, I think, should be able to, if noise is emanating out to such a level that, we're doing decibel readings, I should be fined and have to alter the way I operate. But to assume that I'm going to operate in a manner that is going to harm the neighborhood, it just seems like putting the cart before the horse.
Why do you need to have music on the smoking patio till 10 o'clock?
I'm going to actually have tables back there. And I think just like any other environment, I'd like it to be nice and comfortable. I think having...
Well, we're not, there's no suggestion that you not have tables back there. I'm asking about the one music, the speaker that's going to be piping music out. Can people who come out to smoke, they have to have that music?
I hope people would also want to sit out there and maybe eat things or drink things. And it's to provide a level of hospitality that makes it a comfortable environment. And I think it's going to be an ambient level. That's what I'm saying I'm going to do. So until I don't understand why I should be restricted from such given the designation of the district. And I have the council person's recommendation.
Okay, thanks.
Sure, thank you.
Mr. Wilson, do you have any other comments on this?
Madam Chair, thank you. The rear patio is a very, very small area. It will only seat 10 people. We have the ability, or the city council has the ability to restrict any ambient sound, any amplified sound, even ambient, in any outdoor liquor area. So we can not allow the amplified music at all, clearly by our code if you want to. I believe that this area is becoming more intense related to on-sale liquor and entertainment. I believe in the next city council cycle we'll have a nearby new on-sale liquor restaurant that will have 3 outdoor patios and a rooftop right in this exact vicinity. So the area is becoming more lively in that regard, but I believe that our rapport with businesses and monitoring their business plans, I think we'll be able to keep everyone from not disturbing each other.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Councilmember Frye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move approval of this item.
Item number 9 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 10.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our next application is by the Muffin Top Cafe LLC, requesting to do business as a Nicollet Diner and Muffin Top Cafe at 1424 and 1428 Nicollet. They are seeking a brand new on-sale liquor license with Sunday sales and all-night special food license. They currently operate in this location, in the 1424 location, with a food restaurant with extended hours. They do not have beverage alcohol at this time. And this location has held several different food restaurants since the year 2000. They have operated with an extended hours license in this location without difficulty since June of 2014. This facility is requesting to be open 24 hours daily, except the beverage alcohol, of course, will not be sold other than between 8 a.m. and 1 a.m. in the morning. This is on the street level, and they are, again, combining the spaces of 1424 and 1428 Nicollet. They will have an approximate total of 4,200 square feet of space and will have seating for 168 patrons. Because this is an all-night business, we've negotiated some routine conditions with this applicant, and they have signed and agreed to the conditions, and they really relate to security issues and general management of a 24-hour business. A public hearing is required for this application. We notified all persons within, property owners and residents within 600 feet on April 7th. 582 notices were mailed. We also notified the Citizens for a Loring Park Community, the Downtown Minneapolis Neighborhood Association, Loring Park Business Association. We received 4 responses. We received one letter of support from the official neighborhood group, the Citizens for a Loring Park Community, and we received 3 notices that were opposed from nearby citizens. They were opposed, generally speaking, because of lack of, what they claim is lack of parking. They didn't want bad behaviors associated with alcohol in this block, and they're happy with the restaurant as it is without alcohol service. Our review of this application finds that it is a legal use in the zoning district. They've met all of our application requirements, and staff is recommending that you approve it.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 10? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 10, which is a license upgrade. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and move approval. This is located in my old neighborhood in the 7th Ward, and this has been an awesome addition to this corner. I think a really well-run business with a business owner who has been very active in the livability and crime and safety situation, and I think they've proven that they can operate this business successfully for a 24-hour period, which not a lot of people can do, and also if they want to serve, milkshakes with liquor in it, I don't think that that's a problem. So it seems like, and that's kind of what they're going to do. This isn't really going to be a bar, it's a diner. Maybe they'll serve a cocktail, but I think the main focus is to keep it being a diner with alcohol. I don't see any problem with it. On the motion to approve the staff recommendation, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. On to item number 11. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an application by Pizzeria Lola Northeast LLC for a restaurant at 165 13th Avenue Northeast. Their trade name will be Young Yanni. They are seeking a on-sale liquor license with Sunday sales, Class E. The Class E does not allow live entertainment. This is a location of the former Sugar Record Store, which was there from 2010 to 2012. This restaurant will have seating for 120 persons, and there is no exterior area, sidewalk, cafe, or patio planned at this time. They will have food service during all hours of the operation, in which generally their latest hours are planned to be until 11 p.m. 7 days a week. Midnight on Friday and Saturday. Owners are Conrad Liefler and In Young Kim, 50% owners. And again, they are operators of Pizzeria Lola locally in the Twin Cities. Public hearing is required. For this location, we notified everybody that owns property or resides within 600 feet of the premises. We also notified the Holland Neighborhood Association and the Northeast Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce. We received one response to that notification process. The responder was opposed to the application, citing mainly parking and traffic issues that they projected. This application seems to meet all of the city requirements, and staff's recommendation is that you approve it.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 11, which is a new license. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Frye.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to move approval of this item, as 13th Avenue is very quietly becoming one of the coolest streets in the entire city. You know, from the Ritz Theater to Anchor Fish and Chips to Dangerous Man, and really all that was remaining that we didn't have was some form of pizza. So I'm really excited about Young Joni going in there, and I'm happy to move approval.
Approval has been moved. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll then move on to item number 12. Mr. Wilson, are you giving that report?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'm going to make the presentation. Lead Inspector Jose Velez is going to assist me with putting some photos on the viewer today. This item relates to an amendment proposal to our City of Minneapolis commercial parking lot ordinance, and it relates to what forms of payment can be accepted. The City of Minneapolis currently has 118 Class A commercial open-air parking lots that are licensed facilities. These regulations that I'm talking about today don't have anything to do with parking ramps. These are only for open-air parking lots that charge a fee. The majority of these parking lots that we have in Minneapolis require customers to pay their parking fee upon entering the lot by means of either an electronic pay station, which accepts credit cards, by a smartphone application, or a few still use an honor box system, which accepts cash. The photograph shown on the screen is an honor box system, and you'll notice that it's basically a safe on the side of the parking lot. The box up above the yellow box contains small envelopes, and you are directed to put the amount of parking fee in cash in those envelopes. Use the pencil that's hanging on a string there to write your license plate number on that envelope and stick it in the drop safe. So that's an honor box parking system, and we believe about 25% of our 118 commercial parking lots still use that system. The parking lots using this honor box systems do not provide patrons any kind of receipt verifying proof that they have in fact paid for the parking. In the event a parking lot operator determines a particular vehicle on their property has not paid the parking fee, a private towing company is called and the vehicle is impounded. If the vehicle owner wants to make a case that they paid the parking fee via the honor box, there's no one available on site because it's an unattended lot. The numbers on the posted at the lot do not get answered, and there's no one to help them. The only remedy is that the vehicle owner has to hire a taxi cab, transport themselves to the private impound facility, pay an average of $250 to get their car back. Again, there's no debate that parking lot operators and other private property owners need a remedy to remove vehicles that have not either paid the fee that it costs to park there, or parked in a lot where they don't have permission to be. Private towing contractors currently are impounding an average of 761 vehicles each month at the request of private property owners just in the city of Minneapolis alone. 63 vehicles per month are being towed from downtown Minneapolis unattended parking lots with honor boxes. So the ordinance proposed today would require unattended commercial parking lots to provide an electronic method of payment similar to the photo shown right there on the screen. That is an automated pay station that accepts credit cards, issues a receipt both in a paper fashion or on your, can email your receipt to your smartphone or to your account. It deducts money from your online banking system. The expected cost to install a machine like the one displayed there range from $12,000 to $15,000 per machine. Alternatively, parking lot operators may choose to not use that type of machine, but they may use a pay-by-phone system. There's a system that is just like the city of Minneapolis now features for our parking meters. There's a mobile app called Park Mobile that uses that same system, and there are other ones that these lot owners can contract with, put up the appropriate pay station signage, and people can just pay with the cell phone too, and they can avoid getting this kind of machine. If they did that, they would comply with the ordinance that we're proposing. There are some lots that offer these machines and are still, people are still getting towed, but the incredible thing about that is we're not receiving any complaints from people who get towed from a lot that has the automated pay stations, claiming they paid and got towed anyway because they would have a receipt. So that's another advantage of that. This amendment does require a public hearing, and we notified all commercial parking lot operators, all private impound towing companies, all neighborhood organizations, business association, and we placed this item and ordinance on our website since April 6th. We received one response to that notification process, and it was in support of the application. One other item that we're building into this ordinance is that they will have a pay station covering, kind of a weather covering, so that persons using the system can not only see it, but they'll be sheltered from the rain. We proposed in this ordinance that the effective date of these improvements as required in the parking lots become effective September 1st, 2016. And we hope that from our negotiations with the parking lot, that will be enough time. We started this process in February with a letter to all parking lot owners asking for their input. We received all kinds of input from them. We revised the proposed draft and sent it back out on March 7th with the version of the ordinance you have today, and we received very few comments from the actual parking lot owners. We believe that our engagement with them took care of most of their issues. With that said, that concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 12? Seeing none, we'll open up the public hearing on item number 12. Yep, we haven't even opened the public hearing, so you haven't missed your chance yet.
Yep. Hi, Grant. Westy Graves, Class A Valet. Just a question. I like the idea of the payphone thing. Is that, because that was something that was new that wasn't in that letter at first that I got. So that's kind of why I came down here. I'm like, well, you know, like you said, it's about $16,000 per installation of one of those machines. So it is a considerable investment. The one thing I wanted to comment on, this is probably in favor of actually doing it, is that if you look into the sales tax statutes concerning parking, that's considered a parking meter. You know, basically the machine is a machine that accepts parking for a specific amount of time at a specific place for a specific spot. And that's what one of the statutes in the sales tax with the state of Minnesota is it's not required to pay sales tax for parking meters. That's so the municipalities don't have to pay sales tax on those parking meters. So if in fact these are installed in all the open air parking lots, none of that income that comes in through those machines is basically taxable. It's not taxable. So that's something you might want to look into because there could be millions of dollars in sales tax that you guys might be seeing going out the window.
We'll figure out a way to collect it.
Well, I got audited about 7 years ago, and I brought that up to the state and said, "Well, we'll work on that," you know. And I just think that it's not a bad idea. I mean, I think from that standpoint, a $16,000 investment is going to pay for itself in 1 year just for one parking lot. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I just thought maybe the city might want to think about the lost sales tax revenue that's going to happen because of this. Thanks.
Westy, can you just list your name and address for the record, please?
Westy Graves, Class A Valet, 120 North 4th Street.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, Councilmember Fry. I'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are moving forward this ordinance because, quite simply, I think it's time that we got with the fact that it's 2016. Very few people are carrying cash anymore. In fact, the only reason that I ever carry cash is if I'm going to buy one of the nut rolls from the vending machines down the hallway. Outside of that, nobody has any more than a couple bucks on them at a time, which usually doesn't cover the cost of parking. That's the first piece. Second piece is, you know, when you take your money, you put it into some random envelope and then toss it into the abyss. You never know exactly where that money is going. You never know if it's necessarily getting to the right person. And you certainly don't have a record that you can keep to show that you made the purchase of the space to begin with. So I can't tell you how many people have contacted my office saying that they parked legally, deposited their $5 or $6, only to find out that their car has been towed and they have then no proof of showing that they, in fact, properly paid for it. So, you know, in some cases, these are clerical errors. But these are clerical errors that can very easily be solved by updating the equipment and or using the phone. So I appreciate staff's work on this, and I'm very happy to move approval of this ordinance.
On the motion to approve, further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Our last public hearing item is item number 13. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have another ordinance amendment proposal before you today. This one relates to tobacco dealers and grocery stores that might be located in C1 zoning districts. The Minneapolis tobacco ordinance has prohibited the issuance of new tobacco dealers licenses in a C1 zoning district since July 25th of 2008. C1 zoning districts are those small, light commercial nodes that are frequently adjoining residential neighborhoods. This restriction, recommended by the Minneapolis Grocery Store Task Force at the time, again in 2008, addressed an upsurge we were experiencing with neighborhood retail establishments seeking tobacco and grocery store licenses without any real intent to sell common staple grocery items. Instead, transactions mainly included snack items, soft drinks, tobacco, and even drug paraphernalia. The Minneapolis zoning code does allow accessory tobacco sales as a permitted use in C1 zoning districts, but the restriction we placed in the tobacco ordinance kind of overruled that. This ordinance proposal would lighten this restriction slightly and would indicate that businesses that use tobacco sales as an accessory use, such as a grocery store, would again be allowed to operate in a C1 zoning district. We have found that there are some small areas out in the neighborhoods where it would be a good idea to have a neighborhood grocery store. The applicants have said they don't want to invest in the grocery store if they can't also sell accessory use tobacco products, just as they sell lottery tickets and other things like that. All of the combined items they can sell allow them to be successful. In the past few years, since that the C1 ban was placed, we've strengthened several of our ordinances, particularly relating to tobacco, especially all of the flavored tobacco bans are now in place and have been tested. We've instituted minimum cigar pricing. We've established business owner management requirements, and we've passed ordinance allowing the city council to place conditions on business licenses. We have a public hearing is required for this. We notified all licensed grocery store operators, all tobacco stores, all neighborhood organizations, and all business association, and we've had this item on our website since April 6th. We have received one response to this proposal. It was opposed. I think the writer was a bit confused, as they didn't want their grocery store to have to prohibit persons under the age of 18 from entering their store. That is a requirement in the current old code for only exclusive tobacco stores, so not a grocery store or a gas station that sells tobacco. If you look at the text of the ordinance itself, it leaves the C1 restriction in place and gives an exception. You can be accepted to this rule if you are a full-service grocery store that is in compliance with the minimum square footage sales area and staple food requirements of Chapter 20320, that you are not an accessory use grocery store, which means you wouldn't have full staple food requirements, and that you cannot be an exclusive tobacco shop. So with that explanation, that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We'll open the public hearing on item number 13, which is amending provisions relating to tobacco dealer licenses in a C1 zoning district. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Blong Lee, and I'm the new owner of Kyle's Market that just been in C1 zoning. And that location has been selling tobacco for the past 20 years and received multiple certificates from the city of Minneapolis about complying with the city of Minneapolis about not selling to underage. And when I started there, I also received another certificate, for recognition of not selling tobacco to underage. And it is a good neighborhood, and we do compliance with the city. We check all IDs, and I don't see that could be a problem. And especially cigarette litter, it's never a problem too. So far it's always been going good, and I don't see how this could be a ban for the location.
So we're not trying to prevent you from doing this. You know that, right?
I hope not.
I just want to make sure there's no confusion. This would be to allow stores like yours to sell tobacco.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. That's my first time here. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's great. Well, thank you for being here today, and thank you for your testimony. We're not going to try to stop you from doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Madam Chair. My name is Kevin Aldwalk. I'm here on behalf of myself to urge you guys to approve this amendment. The ban back in 2008 actually created a lot of hardship for small-scale developers as far as serious business owners that want to establish convenience stores and use tobacco as an accessory. We're not trying to overrule the last amendment as far as flavored tobacco or single cigars, but we still like to carry that as an accessory within our business. I mean, this is a legal product, and it's part of the business mix. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move approval of this item.
Approval of item number 13 has been moved. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. That concludes with the public hearing portion of our agenda today. We'll move on to our discussion items, starting with items 22 and 23. Ms. Crowther, welcome.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Dolly Crowther from Residential Finance. I'm here to present two reports. The first one is PRG Portfolio 1. Both projects are similar and very little difference. We're asking today for debt modification to authorize debt assignment, consolidation, principal and interest forgiveness, approved interest rate reduction, and extension of maturity dates. PRG 1 is 42 units. It represents a truly preservation affordable housing project. The project is located in Powderhorn and Seward neighborhood. This project was originally 91 units of affordable housing owned by Powderhorn resident group. They ran into some operating issues and could no longer manage the property. So the city of Minneapolis went to all the nonprofit developers and asked them, please take over this 91 unit project because we don't know how else to deal with it and we need a good nonprofit. None of the other nonprofits stepped up to the plate, only Common Bond. They've owned it since 2007. At the time, a lot of debt was put on the property, on the 91 property units. During that time, we gave it some funds, but it still needed more money. This project was on ISG as a 91 unit project. We could not fund this project because it was an impacted neighborhood, so it never got tax credits. It needs tax credits, both of these, PRG 1 and 2, in order to move forward. The project can't handle debt. The units were built in the early 1900s. So 33 years ago, when we gave the first money, it was 91 units. Right now, this has been on ISG, Interagency Stabilization Group, for more than 4 years. The idea of the CPED staff and ISG was separate them into two different projects, the impacted versus the non-impacted. That way, maybe one could get funded at the state and the city could find a way to do the non-impacted projects. So that's what we have here. The city of Minneapolis on PRG 1 already approved $525,000 for the project, and we're here now to deal with the debt. It is a lot of debt. The original debt amount on PRG 1 is $2.27 million. The interest rate at the time was 0 to 5%. 5% was a lot of interest on the project. The interest has grown to over $989,000 on PRG 1. Common Bond, who is now the owner and has done an excellent job in managing the project, is asking the city to forgive $1.549 million of principal, and the balance remaining would be $722,000. The issue with all of this is the fair market value of the property. The properties have extensive debt, but the fair market value is small. The state has done an appraisal and they've adjusted their amount to accommodate the fair market value. So in order to do this project and PRG 2, we have to forgive debt because no investor is going to take an interest in this project because they're not going to deal with the debt. We don't have an investor yet for the syndication, but we're looking at Enterprise and NEF. So now we have an issue of getting the principal debt down to something that makes the fair market value worthy of doing the project. The project needs an extensive amount of rehab, and we're here today to do the debt modification on PRG 1. I haven't talked about 2, but they're pretty much similar projects. So of course, the principal is extremely high. And don't forget, it goes back 33 years ago when we first put the first debt on this project. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for staff on items 22 or 23? Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It could have been in the report. I may have missed it. I was wondering, what's the new terms in terms of the restructuring of the debt?
Okay.
How long will this last?
It'll be 30 years, and the new debt will be at 0% interest on the new debt. But the new debt is really small compared to what the original debt was on the property.
But they'll be making payments on that debt?
No, non-amortizing debt, no. The project cannot pay debt. The units are affordable. And I must mention also on both of these projects, some of these units are 3 and 4 bedrooms. There's homeless housing in this project, and there's Section 8 project based if you look at PRG 1 and 2 together. So it's got great advantages. It's just that it has to be dealt with to deal with the debt and to deal with rehab of a truly affordable preservation project.
Yeah, it's nothing that we're comfortable with, but
I
it's a
understand.
big dollar value, but I think everybody recognizes the
Right.
importance of maintaining affordability in those
Sure.
properties. I know Councilmember Goodman, of course, and I are on the Family Housing Fund board,
Yes.
and we're not alone in this. There's several other financing partners that are sharing in this
Yes.
in this restructuring. So if you could
Yes, they are.
liberate that, that would be helpful.
Right.
Are there other questions for staff on item numbers 22 and 23? Councilmember Asami?
My question is, what's the occupancy rate?
Oh, it's fully occupied.
Both of them?
Oh, both of them are fully occupied. Some have Section 8, and some have 30% units, up to 60% units.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you for your report.
Do you want me to do two also, or is one, and is it okay?
Has this not been bad enough that we?
Yes, it's the same scenario. Yes.
Right, it's the same disastrous
Right.
scenario. No price is too much to
Right.
preserve units.
Right, and to add to PRG2, the state ranked that number 1 for tax credits, so it's getting all of their tax credits from the state. It was number 1, and of course, tax credits is oxygen to any project, any project.
Does anyone have questions on item 23 either? Okay, thank you, Dolly, for all
You're
your work on
welcome.
this. Councilmember Quincy, did you want to move approval?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move approval of both items 22 and 23.
Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. We'll then move on to items 24, 5, and 6. Looks like they're all separate reports. We'll start with Mr. Carroll.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I am Kevin Carroll from the Business Development Division of CPED. Before you today, you have a slate of candidates for brownfield grant funding in the spring round. That has a May 2 application deadline. The information in your staff report came from pre-applications that were submitted to the city on March 7. We got 10 projects that wish to submit 14 different grant applications, seeking a little under $4 million in grant funding. One of the interesting things about this round is 6 of the 10 projects you've seen before. You've already issued resolutions of support for 6 of them. In most cases, they're coming back either because they didn't get all the funding they sought in a prior round, or in 1 or 2 instances, they've encountered additional contamination that wasn't originally envisioned. So I don't think we need to talk about those too much. You've supported them before. We have reviewed them to make sure they're still ready to proceed. They are, and in some cases, they're in progress. Of the remaining 4 projects, 1 is a fairly standard park cleanup project, 1 is a fairly small investigation grant application, and 2 are housing projects that are supported by the neighborhoods. We do have fewer projects in this round than I've seen in past rounds. I've been before you on occasion with 16 or 18 different projects seeking up to $10 million in grant funding. So the fact that we have fewer projects in this round seeking less funding suggests that they have a higher than usual chance of getting some or all the funding that they seek. We've reviewed all of them. We believe they're ready to proceed, and we encourage you to allow us to submit them.
Are there any questions for Mr. Carroll? Seeing none, thank you for what always is a really well-done report. We really appreciate all the energy and effort you put into it. There are no questions, so I will move approval of Mr. Carroll's recommendation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. On item number 25, Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Arlene Robinson, Residential Finance. I bring forward to you today the 2016 Hennepin County Transit-Oriented Development Grant Applications. I am asking today for the passage of the resolution of the submission of these grants to the Hennepin County TOD and authorize the city officials to execute the agreements. The Hennepin County has about $2.2 million available in this program, and they had 18 applications this round, and 15 were in the city of Minneapolis, although 1 did drop out. So we are passing forward 14 of these applications. These applications were ranked, and they were ranked from getting comments and opinions from long-range planning, multifamily housing, and also the development department. This program is a competitive, and it's been around for 14 years. This is the 14th year. So if there are any questions, I'll take them now.
I just have a question about the ranking. So this is the ranking that staff provided?
They provided comments for the rankings, you know, as far as if the project is close to getting started, you know, the importance of them as far as, you know, the affordability, and if it's a good fit for the neighborhood.
So does Hennepin County ask us to rank the projects?
To my knowledge, no.
And do they pay
don't.
attention to the ranking?
That I cannot answer. David Frank may be able to answer that for me.
I actually thought this was a ranking from the county themselves, but
No.
now I'm hearing it's a ranking from us. And if in fact we are ranking them, then I'm probably going to move this forward without recommendation to make changes in this ranking. But I'd like to know what, I always thought the county didn't care what we thought.
Madam Chair, committee members, this is staff rankings, as you've just heard. The county asks only to know that the city supports all of the applications in Minneapolis or not, and they are interested in our feedback about which projects we prefer. That can sometimes take the form of ranking, and they've also been interested in our comments when we've had those to provide.
Okay. Thank you very much for your report. I'm going to move this forward without recommendation then, with only 2 million available and 9 million in requests. I probably would rank them differently than they're ranked here. I thought this was the county's ranking, not our staff analysis of it. So I think there's probably a few more comments to be made with regard to that. So I'm going to move this forward without recommendation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move to our final item, which is item number 26. Shalonda, welcome.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Shalonda Holmes, and I'm a Senior Project Coordinator in Residential Finance. I am before you today to ask the committee to authorize submission of priority ranked grant applications to the Metropolitan Council Livable Communities account for LCDA and TOD programs. And applications are due May 2nd. Every year, the City Council considers the submission of LCDA and TOD pre-applications to the Met Council. This year, we received a record total of 15 applications, which is more than double from the last 3 years. The majority of these applications were strong, and overall ranking was very close. Nonetheless, the Metropolitan Council only accepts 6 applications per city, which are 3 applications per program. The ranking committee for the program was made up of a team of staff members from appropriate CPED divisions. This year, based on the Metropolitan Council evaluation criteria, the 6 projects before you and on page 4 of the report are being recommended for pre-application submission. The full application process for the LCDA and TOD program is very competitive, and projects have to compete with other projects within the region. The applications before you are the highest ranked projects based on the Met Council evaluation criteria. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for staff? Seeing none, thank you for your report. Councilmember Reich.
Thank you, Madam President. I wish to move an amendment and speak to it.
Yeah, an amendment was forthcoming. That was noticed. It's been passed out. It's in front of us. Councilmember Reich.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I move to amend the resolution by moving the project ranking as follows. Under LCDA ranking summary, Commons at Penn 2 be removed, West Broadway Curve 2 be moved to 2 from 2 to 1, and sidewalk development substituted as 2. Under LCDA TOD rankings, Great River Landing to be moved from 3 to 2. And if I may continue to speak for the basis of that amendment.
Reich.
Thank you. The basis for this amendment is in part applying a stricter sense of site control, taking a wider range of TOD factors into account, a stronger recognition of newer and cutting-edge sustainability techniques, and some local context regarding what's catalytic in its impact.
Are there questions with regard to Councilmember Reich's re-ranking? So I'll note that the order would be number 1, West Broadway Curve, number 2, Sywick, and number 3, Sabathity Senior Housing. And on the TOD, it would be L&H Station, Phase 1 is number 1, Great River Landing is number 2, and Olson is number 3. Are there comments or questions on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion has been approved. On, I guess, the remainder of the report, I'll move approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Seeing no further business before us, we are adjourned.